Who wrote the Torah? According to Judaism, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, wrote the Torah during the time he was in Har Sinai for the 40 days and 40 nights. However, the last 8 verses come from Yahushua. Joshua wrote the last 8 verses that describe the death and burial of Moshe Rabbeinu. Now, why is there rabbinical things? I think this is best demonstrated by a midrash, and I'll put the midrash. There's a midrash. If you don't know what a midrash is, there's 2 types of midrash. There's a gada and there's halacha. So a gada is like parables and stories that explain things, particularly explain stories in the Torah or just different kinds of parables. And halacha derives from Jewish law. Now, basically, there's a midrash that explains that when Moshe Rabbeinu was writing the Torah, he noticed crowns on the letters, and he asked Hashem what these crowns mean, and Hashem basically said this will be used in the future for a great rabbi to study this, and people also maybe to study throughout time. So he basically time travels, right? And Moshe Rabbeinu sees Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva is teaching these crowns, and he's going over. His student asked him a question about the deeper meanings of what this means, and Moshe Rabbeinu did not understand these questioning, and asked Hashem, "Why do I not understand? Where did this come from?" Hashem tells Moshe, "These are the halachot." Rabbi Akiva tells his students that these are halachos leMoshe Sinai, meaning that it all comes from Mount Sinai, the oral and the written tradition. Rabbi Akiva was a Tana in singular form. He's one of the major contributors to the Mishnah, the oral law, which all of the oral law, as I explained previously, was passed on until it can no longer be passed on to fully describe every little detail of following all the mitzvahs and follow intricacies that the Torah does not describe in the written. So there's the written, right, and then there's the oral, which both compile the Torah, the written, the oral. Torah Shel Ba'Peh is what it's called, the oral law. So al halacha, derived from the rabbis. So the rabbis cannot override previous rabbis as far as like the Talmudic sages. They can just add additional ideas, or to say one's talking about apples and one's talking about oranges, and like as time evolves and we have new technology, we need to apply halacha, Jewish law, into how the world is changing. And but like electricity, that was not in the time of the Torah, so we have to adapt that. The rabbis put that, you can't use electricity on Shabbat, for example. Halacha derives from the Torah, from the rabbis. It comes down to the rabbis, because even the interpretation of Torah is something that was passed on from the Torah, from the written. How the Baraita, how do we interpret Torah? This is something given even at Har Sinai, everything. If that makes sense. There was a divine connection, divine inspiration from God at Mount Sinai, where basically Moshe Rabbeinu gets the connection of the Torah and what it shall be written, and Joshua as well. I'm paraphrasing, but God looked at the Torah and he saw the world. Basically, that the Torah was Hashem's roadmap or guide to how to navigate this world and how we can bring the gashminess, the physicality. How do we make the physical here on earth? How do we make that connected and divine to Hashem? How do we bring Kedusha, holiness, here to earth?